they don't just attack from the outside through institutions like the World Bank, IMF, and WTO, they also start to erode from the inside. They bribe, they corrupt our system, and if in the last 1 year, India has been more known for corruption scandals, at every level, a globalized economy rests on corruption, and corporations love it. The Navdanya farm is in Doon Valley, the valley where I was born. I started Navdanya in '87, which means I started saving seeds and teaching farmers why it was important to protect biodiversity, why it was important to go organic. But I realized that the brainwashing by the chemical industry is very deep. And the brainwashing of what is called the monoculture of the mind, your inability to see and recognize diversity and its value, it's so deep that when I would talk, for example, in Delhi, and say, we have 600 kinds of rices, and they'd say, can't be, because they were used to monocultures. Or I would say, our organic farms are producing more, and they say it can't be, because chemicals are necessary for producing more food. So I realized we need a place where we practice what we are promoting among the farmers. Navdanya is at the deepest philosophical level, philosophical alternative and a practical alternative to the monoculture of the mind. Because a monoculture shapes the world in one way, in one crop, one way of consumption, one domination by one giant company, one kind of knowledge displacing other kinds of knowledge. And a monoculture, in fact, is an extremely impoverished system. It's impoverished because everything has to be provided from outside. When a field is a monoculture, it isn't able to provide all the nutrition it needs. It is not able to manage the pests that attack it. Because when it's a monoculture, one kind of pest will feed too much. But there'll be no other species that can balance this pest because you've got no other species for that other species of insect to feed on. You don't have partnership between different kinds of crops. For example, if I grow wheat and I grow it with a chana, which is the chickpea is giving the wheat free nitrogen. I don't have to apply nitrogen from outside. But if I only grow a monoculture of wheat, I will have to buy chemical fertilizer. So monocultures require external inputs. External inputs require money. Money means you are left poorer because you're borrowing. Nature becomes poorer because these inputs fulfill one function. Okay, the nitrogen is provided by nitrogen fertilizer, but the nitrogen fertilizer kills the many organisms that provide the phosphate, the magnesium, the potassium, and everything else that the soil needs. So if I had to summarize, how's a biodiversity culture different from a monoculture? A biodiversity culture is pluralistic. A monoculture is one. A biodiversity culture is sustainable within itself. It's self-organized. A monoculture has to be held up by external inputs. A biodiversity culture, being self-organized, is autonomous and free. A monoculture, because of external inputs, comes with external control. And external control means the end of freedom. The Industrial Revolution and the globalized monoculture has left the West with a very monoculture thinking. And I believe the next stage of human evolution needs a resurgence of diversity in thought and diversity in practice. sustainability and diversity are very intimately linked, because sustainability is closing the cycle. Sustainability only works if I can renew my nitrogen and maintain my nitrogen cycle, if I can maintain my water cycle through renewal, if I can maintain my carbon cycle. Every cycle of life is a closed loop, and a closed loop can only be created through mutual give and take. It's only when we have trees will they be able to take up our carbon dioxide and give us the oxygen we need. That closes the loop. So we need trees for our sustainability. The sustainability of human beings is not independent of the sustainability of the tree. We need pollinators in order to be able to have a crop, because pollinators are what allow reproduction to take place. And a seed is formed as the vehicle of that reproduction. If our bees disappear, we will have no food. That is why Einstein said, when the last bee goes, the last human will go. Without the biodiversity of pollinators, we can't have food security. Our sustainability of food supply depends on the sustainability of the pollinators. And the same for the millions of microorganisms in the soil. One of the most amazing is this mycorrhizal fungi. And it basically sends out these long strands of fungi to collect nutrients from far away. I might not have any fertility here, but the mycorrhizal fungi will go under that tree where a lot of leaves are falling and will collect the nutrients from there and fertilize this tree. In 1 cubic inch of soil, you can have 8 miles long mycorrhizal fungi. That diversity is vital to the sustainability of soil fertility and therefore the sustainability of food production. So without diversity, there is no sustainability. I think wherever big agribusiness takes over, they create a monoculture and they create a specialization. Now, if I'm a physicist and I get specialized in one particular discipline, that's fine, because it gives me the ease of calculating one kind of equation. But if I'm a society and I specialize in one kind of food, then it means I'm not growing the other things that I need, because everyone has to eat diversity. You need the greens, you need the vegetables, you need the pulses, you need the dairy, you need for some who eat meat, a little bit of meat. So when you become meat-producing country, you become a meat-eating country. And the industry that is driving the growth in meat eating has huge profits. You make more money in the meat business than you do in the vegetable business. So it is society that has to take the lead to say, we will force our public money to invest in vegetables. And we cannot hand over our agriculture, which then gets hugely subsidized. It's not that that is efficient. It's not that those factory farms can run on themselves. You take away the CAP subsidies, the Common Agriculture Policy subsidies, none of that can survive. Around our farm, there are now some polyhouses coming up. And I'm told each of them costs about 10 million rupees. Now, no small farmer here can afford it. It's only coming up because there's subsidies. Public money is being spent on stupidity like building a polyhouse in this wonderful weather where so much can grow around the year. Why do we have to grow tulips to export to Netherlands? Literally, farmers are being paid here in this valley to grow tulips for Netherlands. In Indian philosophy, all of life is life in balance. And healthy life is maintaining the balance. So Ayurveda is the discipline of the science of life, which is in our medical system, which is in our food system. And when applied to trees, it is called Vriksha Ayurveda. Vriksha means the tree. Ayurveda means the science of life of the tree. And just like we heal ourselves with medicinal plants in Ayurveda, not with allopathic drugs, in the area of plants and trees, you don't have to spray with chemicals when there's a virus. You don't have to give artificial growth hormones. For everything that is toxic in the chemical world, there's something living in Vriksha Ayurveda. And those who practice Vriksha Ayurveda work with nature to heal diseases of the plant. And central to the science of life is food. The understanding of food, the understanding of different kinds of foods, what they do to our bodies, the understanding that seasonality is vital, freshness is vital, the understanding that all the tastes must be in your thali, which is why we have the chutney, which is a little sour, you have the sweet and the gur and the paisam. You have to have all the taste, the bitter of the karela or the neem leaf, because it's that balance of tastes that creates the balance of the diet. Food is the very web of life. And everything that exists is something else's food. That is what the Taittiriya Upanishad teaches us. I say the Taittiriya Upanishad is the ultimate ecological textbook that everyone in the world should read. We know life is supported by a web of life. But what is the currency in this web of life? It's not dollars, it's not euros, it is food. A small protozoa will be eaten by a bacteria, will be eaten by other predators, and through all this web of life in the soil, nutrition is created, which then feeds the plant. That web of life then provides nutrition to the plant, which provides nutrition to us or other animals. Ultimately, it's all coming from a circulation of food. And that is why the web of life is a food web of life, and that is what the Taittiriya Upanishad is saying. It is the very basis of our being.